What's up, everyone? I'm Devin, and welcome back to another episode of Designing Labs, where clients and colleagues help me complete the challenge of designing a memorable design in just a moment or laugh at our design in just a moment. Today, we're changing all that up today, though. We're not just designing, man. We're also inspiring, we're creating, we're building relationships, and most importantly, we're here to be creative. Today, I got a special returning guest, and I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. He might remember him. He goes by the name of Michael, but to others, he's much more than that. Today, I introduce to you none other than Michael.
Oh, thank you, Devin. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. And I look forward to having this kind of conversation with you because it's so open and fresh. And we get a chance to really get into the meat of what's going on so that people can understand not just something that's scripted, but what's really coming from the heart. So I thank you very much.
Yeah, man. And that's what it's all about here. When we start this podcast, um, we thought about what we was doing before we got into this. If we weren't just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna just do a podcast just because we want to do it," like it's something that has purpose behind it. And though, we make it entertaining and have fun on it,
Yeah.
don't ever get it twisted. Like this is something that's serious. We're professionals, so that as long as you know that, we're having fun here, but at the end of the day though, this is business. So let's get down to it, man. I know that you had an event just recently as far as the Charles and Etta Dudley Foundation goes. How was it?
Oh, it was great. We had the grand opening. We've been in existence for about 6 years, but just moved into a new building. It used to be the Dent Pagoda of Medicine at 707 Youngs Lane. And as of October 20th, it's now the Pagoda of Medicine and the new facilities for the Charles and Etta Dudley Foundation.
Yeah, man. I know you had a ball there. I can only imagine because like I wasn't able to make it. However, though, like I was there in spirit, and the pictures that I've seen there, man, they look like you guys had a ball. Like, can you tell me more about some of the behind the scenes of like how of the event?
Yeah, we were just expecting to have a handful of people. We probably set out about 50 or 60 chairs. It was an opportunity for the community to find out we were there. We sent out information. We actually had a program where we went out and solicited ads, and we were able to pull that program off. And we had a charter membership as of that day, around 175 people who said, "Hey, we are with the Dudley Foundation." We were expecting maybe 100, 150 people. We had more than 260 people that showed up for the event. So almost 50% more than what we expected. We were very happy with the turnout. People were, I think, pleasantly surprised to see the amount of progress we had done inside. By no means are we finished. We're just starting. So we only had a few of the wall installations up. We actually took one down a couple of days after because we're about to redesign a whole room and turn it into what this museum, this archive, this foundation will be. So that when people walk in there, they learn something, they understand, and especially for the children that come through, they get a glimpse into history so they know some of the shoulders that they stood on, that they're standing on right now. And it gives them a better sense of who they are, not only as a community and as a family, but those people who went before them. It's all about the history.
Hey, man, we're making history today because just you being here on a podcast, is history in itself. Like I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to even, you know, say that you're a friend of the podcast and that you're even sharing this information with us because people need to know more stuff about how they can be involved and know that there's so much things going on in the community that
Hmm.
they can be a part of it too, like, but
Yeah.
all it takes is you. open up that door, that communication. And we're trying to do that here on the podcast by letting people know of we're out here trying to, share the information, share the knowledge, share the experience.
Mhm.
And hopefully man, other people want to be involved. Let us know if you guys are familiar with the Charles Etta Dudley Foundation and what you guys are excited to see next about going down in the comments. Let us know. Welcome to the merchandise shop. I'm glad you can make it. If you see anything you like, have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be right over here. No, literally right over here. All right. Um, it's just society to know that you know as a business, you guys are growing and you guys are excited about all the new opportunities and new things you guys are bringing to the community down in Nashville. Like, can you tell me something about the different dilemmas that you're coming up with when it comes to, the grand opening and since now that is as has opened?
Well, I mean, whenever you're starting something new, for those of us in the art world, especially, we realize that things don't always happen as fast as we want them to. And so we had so many different pieces that had to happen. We had a building, but the letters had to go on the outside, and we had to depend on a third-party contractor to do that. Well, we had to fit into their schedule. All of the art installations inside, we had to design them, create them, design them, and then implement them. Not only did we have to do that, we had to mount them on the wall. So you can imagine the week before, we were in there trying to make sure that everything looked great. And it did. It turned out great. I have to take my hat off to our graphic artist, Howard Bullard. If you've never seen his work before, Howard is just awesome. And I've known him for many, many years. In fact, we worked on the first Oakwood magazine together. He was a graphic artist. I was a photographer. I think I wrote a couple articles in it, along with Don Wood, Keena Henson. And all of this was through the public relations department at Oakwood. This was back in 1986. So that's how long I've known him. And he has been doing award-winning artwork since then. We were lucky to have him join the project. And you can tell when you walked in just the quality of the design and how much thought went into the presentation of what we have. And that's just the beginning. As I said before, we're building out the whole place and we're doing more and more and more, and we're keeping it all on the same level to be able to give that polished look. So when you walk into the foundation, we want you to stop and realize that you can't go two steps forward until you've digested the information that's right in front of you. And then you want to take that tour around the building. And it's the old saying at Oakwood, when you enter to learn and then you depart to serve. You enter to learn and then you depart knowing something that you didn't know before.
Hey man, I love that. Like that's like a philosophy that I think people need to live by as far as, you know, take the information that you get and
Mhm.
apply it. Like, because what good is having information if you know knowledge and you're not
Right.
using it?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and using it for the right reasons, of course. So,
I
but
think our
man,
lives are
okay.
I think our lives are more enriched when we are lifelong learners.
Hmm.
Some people said, "Oh wow, I've learned this. I don't want to learn anything else. I'm happy with what I have. I'm just going to stay in this one lane for the rest of my life." But I think from all the people, and this is my personal research, from all the people that I know, those that have the most exciting lives, that live the most enriching lives, are those who are always interested in learning something new. You have to refresh those brain waves. You have to keep the brain moving. And, it's like putting oil in a car. You have to keep everything lubricated, and learning new things and experiencing new things helps lubricate your brain. And that's what the Dudley Foundation wants to do. We want to put oil in that brain and keep you moving.
Hey man, I like the analogy, like the because like the brain is a powerful tool, man. Like which if you don't use it, you will lose it, and and you said it very well. Like I think with the Charles Etta Dudley Foundation, as far as what they represent, man, is powerful, man. Like
Mhm.
I'm thankful just to knowing that there's other organizations or nonprofit organizations out there doing things like that because we often hear about, oh, what are they doing in the community? All these organizations say they do this and do that, but we don't really see them. Well, here we
Mhm.
go. We got
Mhm.
someone right here, right for you, telling you exactly what's going on. He's showing you information. He's giving you the tools and the links and everything that you can do to follow up on yourself so you can know that, hey, we are as transparent as we possibly can be here. Hey, I think this is a good time to be able to transition into our next segment of the podcast, man, where we're
All
going
right.
to start it off with a new game. And it's going to be something that everybody's familiar with. Just the people at home can relate to this as well. We're going to play two lies, so two truths and a lie, but we're gonna do it the career edition. So just to make it a little interesting and make it a little fun, try to make it something that the people who know you won't be able to easily guess if they
Mhm.
watch this and be able to comment on. Because we want everybody to be a part of this. So make it a little interesting and make it hard for them, please. All right. Whenever you got your two truths and a lie, let me know when you got it, man.
Two truths and a lie. Okay. Do they have to be in the same order?
No. I
Okay. All
mean,
right.
you just tell me,
Okay.
this and that, and then we'll figure it out in the comments, and afterwards you can let us know further if it's going to be true or what it is or what the lie
Okay.
is.
All right. So here's one. My hometown is Halifax, Nova Scotia. Here's another one. I once lived in Menominee, Wisconsin. And then a third one. Um, I have always been a person who loves to wear hats.
I'm gonna go ahead and call you out on that one, man. I don't think so, man. As long as I've been knowing you, your hat's been
I
off
don't
for
wear,
a long
I don't
time.
wear hats. That's an easy one.
But let us know down in the comments which one you guys think is the lie. That doesn't mean that I'm right or wrong, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what I think right off the bat. So please let us know. All right, cool, man. Thank you for that. For that. Um, I think you were onto something when you was talking about right now what where you guys stand as far as the process of getting the information out there and letting more people know because you said when you did put some information out there, you guys already have gotten it tenfold basically as far as having a bigger turnout in the grand opening than you expected. So, like, what challenges are you having as of right now when it comes down to the business?
Well, I think let's look at fundraising first because that's
Okay.
generic. I don't care what organization you have, who you are. If you're in the nonprofit space, fundraising is critical. And
Okay.
as we know, as we get closer to the holiday season, people are putting their money toward Christmas gifts instead of giving. But we also have the tax give. People who want to get a benefit on their taxes can give money to nonprofits. So because we're small and relatively new to the public, we're building our donor base. And so that's why we have our charter membership that's free. You can join the Charles and Etta Dudley Foundation charter membership, and you can find out more information about us. But we hope that as you find out more of the good things that we're doing, that you'll want to give. So I would say for anyone in the nonprofit spectrum, you would want to say that fundraising is always a major concern because everyone's out there fighting for everyone else's dollars. But we feel that we have some unique things that people would be interested in. Take, for instance, our Mississippi story. I think we mentioned on the last podcast about those three ministers that came up with the idea of doing community service throughout the South during the civil rights movement. That's unique and all by itself of interest, something I would think a lot of people would want to preserve. The building we're in itself, the architect was Benjamin McAdoo, who was,
Okay.
great African American architect on the West Coast, and built this unique building that looks like a temple, but is really like a temple of medicine, of healing. And now it's in a foundation for healing and education and healing of the land. So, those are all great, things to fall behind. But that's not all that we would want to raise money around. The Dudleys themselves were really big on education. They helped so many young people come to school, go to school, survive through school, graduate. That was a big thing that they did. They brought people into their home and would feed them, Sabbath dinner, make them feel like there was family nearby, checked on them, because it's one thing to go get an education, but when you're away from home, for someone to be interested in you and to ask you questions about how family's going, how school's going, that's important to just your overall well-being. That's what they did. That's what we're doing now. We're carrying on their legacy, and we're trying to find ways to support not only the children, students, the parents, but also the teachers that go to school every day and do such a wonderful job. It's a hard job being a teacher. And then the
Oh yeah.
schools, a lot of parochial schools are very small. Their budgets are very limited. So we already have a history of helping, parochial schools in a 5-state region. And we're looking at expanding that to helping as many schools as possible, as many families as possible. Now, when you help a student, you help a family, you help a teacher, guess what you're doing? You're helping the community. So our two mission points, education and community, come to a meeting place there because we're helping the holistic environment of education and family and community and those things that are good for all of them. And that's why I think it's so important. So that's another emphasis that we have that's very important. Once people realize that we're trying to help across the board, to make sure that a child has the ability to learn, a comfortable environment to learn, the resources they need to be able to learn correctly, and then they have someone feeding into them good things and the history of where people came from and why it's important. Then you have a well-rounded student that goes off to college and on into life, and they become productive. And that's what we're all about. From cradle to grave, we're trying to be lifelong learners, to give people an opportunity to have the best chance possible to survive in this world.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like those are the tools that more matter the most, for survival. And not even just survival, because you can survive on, I guess pork your beans and franks if that's what you want to, but you want to have a successful, thriving, like you said, impactful life, then yeah, I feel like yes, learning needs to be a high priority. And
And Devin, let's get it straight. I'm from the country, okay? So pork and beans, you got to put crackers in there.
hey man, I was raised on bread and butter, so hey, you know what I'm saying? I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, we understand. And see, and that's the whole point, is when people finally understand what people are going through, I feel they're compelled to want to give to the cause. And what the Charles Etta Dudley Foundation is really just doing, that's all we're really doing, is shining a light on how people can help and
Okay,
resolve some of the basic issues that these children, faculty, and staff are going through.
got you. Can I
Mhm.
ask you a question about art? How do you feel about this current state of art as of right now? Like, do you like where we are as far as artists and position wise?
I think it's exciting, and I'll tell you why. Back in 1991, I went to the Philadelphia uh, conference, which is a conference, annual conference for photographers, and
Okay,
they were having a big discussion that year, 1991, big
okay.
discussion about merging more than one photograph together. Is it a real photograph? How can you claim ownership of a photograph when you created it and it wasn't a natural, organic, I took it in the camera?
Mm-hmm.
And I look back at that, always look back at it and go like, wow, where have we come, where have we ended up with AI and with all of the software that we have now where you can blend multiple you can create a photograph without even actually taking a photograph these days.
Yeah.
So when I look at that, I look at the evolution of art itself. And I think that as artists, we have to accept that it's ever changing. And we have to embrace that it will always be new. You can go back and look at all the different things that were done in the past and how people created things in the past. But we have more tools now. Our creativity exists a different way. When we think about the gaming system and how kids play games and how those environments were created, and the music associated with it, it has all evolved from playing hopscotch and jump rope and all those things to a whole lot more. Now, how do we navigate that? I think we always need to let people know what it used to be. I was always taught that if you know how to add 2 plus 2, then you can multiply. If you can multiply, you can divide. If you can divide, you can do higher forms of math. Same thing with art. If you can do basic art, then you can eventually get to the place where you are creative and the art that you create is unique and it's about you and you tell your own story.
I mean, that's what it's about, man. At the end of the day, like storytelling, like, that's what art is in a nutshell. And, how you create the story or so how you frame it is just as
Mhm.
important as the story itself.
And
That's
the
interesting.
tool, your brain is a tool. It always has been. When you draw with pen and pencil, it's your brain that has the concept. It's your brain that the pen is capturing what you created in your mind. With AI, when you write prompts or when you merge pictures in Photoshop, your brain is the source of the
Oh, yeah.
creativity.
I'm
What
glad
the
you said that.
outcome is different.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you
No.
said that because people really need to realize that. Like, I'm going to say this right now, right here, right now. When it comes to a trend, like they're important because they need to be, you need to know like where you are now in order to get to where you're going. Or in order to get to where you're going, you need to know where you were before so you can
Right.
see the future. However, trends are just that, trends. They do come and they do go. And styles come in and go. However, though, that message,
Hmm.
that's what's important. That's what sets the difference between
Hmm.
art, artists, design, and all those combined together. Sometimes that's what makes a
Hmm.
great artist, as
Hmm.
opposed to, you know,
Hmm.
doing things because they have a purpose or a need to do it. It's it's all that into one. And
Hmm.
you were saying something about AI as far as like how the prompts that you put down make a difference on basically what you said in your mind comes out to into this world. Basically, it's kind of like the same thing with AI. However, though, with AI, like you it's still limited to what the person it says. So just keep
Hmm.
that in mind.
Hmm.
It's only as sharp as tools you have. So keep your mind sharp and hey, you'll be all right.
That's right.
Man, I think this is a great time to go ahead and start talking about what I think we should do for today's design challenge, man. I was thinking, let's get back into, the basics of art, and let's create something from scratch with our hands today, man. Not using no computer, no AI at all. We're going to go ahead and just simply paint. So we're going to create something, that we feel like represents, I don't know, today's episode of the podcast based off of what we've been talking about today. On today's episode of the podcast, we're going to still keep it within the challenge of 10 minutes as usual. But I'm going to call on my amazing guest here today, Michael, to guide me within. Hey, what's up, everybody? Before we go ahead and get into today's design challenge, I want to go ahead and just acknowledge a few questions we have that were being sent to me about podcasts or just things in general. So we appreciate the support and the feedback that we get from our viewers. So we want to make sure that we take the time to acknowledge them. So let's do that now. We have here a question from CR. Sorry, actually, this is from Jasmine. She asks, are there any age requirements for being a guest on the podcast? That's a great question. No. We accept all ages. However, though, of course, when it comes down to minors, definitely we want to make sure that they have a parent permission and things like that. So we definitely take the necessary steps in order to do so. But we don't say you have to be a certain age in order to be on the podcast. We don't talk about anything that is straight age restricted or anything like that as well. So we open our platform to guests of all ages. Good question though. Also, Jasmine asks, does Deft offer any business development services or only branding? That's another great question. Yes, we do. It all depends on our relationship with the potential client and does it make sense for us? Like, of course, there's only so much time in the day, and we're here to do as much as we can to help everybody out, but we definitely got to make sure that it makes sense for our brand as well. So if it makes sense and we can make it work, we're open to the possibilities. Let's talk about it. But it really depends on, like I said, the relationship and us having that conversation. All right. You got plenty of other more ones, but I don't want to ask all your great questions because I want to space them out. So I want to also take another question from another person that they ask great questions as well. Ciara asks, what's your hot take or most controversial take on branding? Huh. Okay. Well, here we go. Branding, man. It's, in a nutshell, not only why Deft is created, but it's a true passion of mine that I love talking about, love working on, and I love just being inspired by it because branding is a way of life. It literally is like a lifestyle. And a prime example of some of the most impactful brands are just brands that we have grew up with. Prime example would be Campbell's. Are you guys familiar with Campbell's? All right. Well, they made a big announcement just recently about the rebranding, and their shareholders and everything even signed off on it. I'm not familiar if you guys are aware of everything that's going on with them, but that's a big deal because they made the statement that they're changing it, and then they asked the shareholders to go over it and say, "Hey, you guys signed off on it." And Usually that doesn't always happen like that or doesn't work out to your benefit, but it worked out and they've signed off on it. So, like, I think when you think about brands, think about longevity. Like, think about it's not going to be the same brand you started off with. However, though, if you have a vision of a bigger purpose than just yourself and what you want the business to be, other than just making some money, then you're going to be here to stay years and years to come. It's just a matter of, are you really willing to put in the work and the effort to build your brand? And we want to be part of that journey. If you want to be collaborating with someone who is passionate about branding, because that's what we're here for, man. Like, I think that's a great question. Once again, that CR asked, because I think that we all hear about the little hot takes on about the buzzwords and all this type of stuff, but branding, when it really comes down to it, man, it's not that difficult when it comes down to the psychology of understanding what it's about, but it's a lot of research and knowledge and things of that experience that comes into actually performing it or creating it. Um, I think now is a great time to go ahead and start the design challenge, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoot on over. I'm over here knocking stuff over, man. Excuse me, everyone who's watching and listening. Hopefully, you guys don't hear a bunch of rattling. It's a little tight quarters, but we're gonna make it work. So I was thinking before I start the timer, let's work this. Let's talk this out, Michael. What do you think when it comes down to today's episode of the podcast? When it comes down to orientation, you want landscape? Or sorry, portrait or landscape?
Well, I like landscape.
Okay.
I think landscape gives you more information.
Okay, I
You're doing
understand
a
it.
portrait as a photographer. When I take a portrait, it's focusing on one thing. When I do a landscape, it gives me more of a storytelling board. Um, so yeah, landscape is what I like.
I agree with you. It definitely, it paints a picture a little bit, as they say, as opposed to capturing the picture.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the human
And
brain sees landscape first, portrait second.
okay, I I can see that. I can see that. Is it more of a is that more of a skilled eye thing though, or do you think that's just an everyday thing that people are accustomed to doing?
I don't think you realize it until someone says it, and then you realize that we see horizontally across the board panoramically. And then the human eye and the brain has the ability to zoom in without doing anything. With a camera, you have to actually physically zoom in. A portrait is a zoom in to me.
I
So I see a
you
crowd,
articulate that.
and then I pick a person out.
No, you articulated it very well. Like literally, like that's why we have two eyes. We have multiple eyes, so you can get, different focal points all at one time. That's what a camera tries to do, imitate
Right.
us, basically. So okay, hey, I like where you're going with that. Hey, let's talk this out for some more. So, what is the thing that you want today's painting to be? Let's talk about it.
I think if I had to distill it down, it would be educating children.
Okay. We're gonna
Children and
start it off right
education.
there. Educating people. I said educating children. I'm sorry. I'm gonna start the timer at 10 minutes. Today we're going to be painting something that show educating children. I like that. I like that. So let's start that timer and 10 minutes. Oh shoot, wrong thing. There we go. 10 minutes is starting now. Okay, bro, we're in here. 10 minutes. You want to break down some more about what you're thinking about when it comes down to the image you got a idea and thing in your head?
Well, I see two different things. I see a child learning on their own,
Okay.
which is from observing nature to reading a book to writing. And I also see a child learning from a mentor, which could be a grandparent or a parent or a teacher or someone they look up to.
Okay, really understand that. So a child looking up to someone or a mentor.
Hmm. I mean, you could think about how does a child learn to play basketball? They're taught.
Yeah.
How do you learn to play an instrument? You're taught. Somebody
Well, I
shows you
mean,
how to do it.
what about like, but you brought up another good thing. A child alone, though, sometimes they're not always taught. Sometimes they have to to learn by themselves. So what about that? Those instances.
A child reading a book
Okay,
or a child on a computer screen.
true. I like the book aspect because it's more of a humanistic feeling to it as opposed to, reading on the screen. I mean, of course, we all know that's where we are at today's age, but you can't get away from books, man.
No, they always
I
will
think
be.
that's important. Yeah, I think they're important. I'm thinking you're onto something with that, though, man. I'm getting some ideas about what you're talking about. I'm just trying to get my paints together
Okay.
and all that kind of stuff. But we got time to talk about it, so it's important we talk this out, though, man.
Mhm.
And do this while we're getting the paint together. So I was thinking maybe it's something like, maybe we can just try to capture the essence of a kid, uh, having some alone time,
Hmm.
like reading a book.
Oh yeah, I think that would be wonderful. That's iconic.
Hmm. I don't know if I should go like more of an abstract or we only got like, a certain amount of time.
I say
So
abstract.
yeah, I was like thinking, it being a child, would this be a boy or would this be a girl? What are you thinking?
Um, I think a little girl would be great.
Okay. See if we can try to figure it out how we can show that in shape, maybe like with the bangs or something.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Let's give us some arch in there so you can know that's a woman or girl.
Hmm.
What if we do something like this? It's gonna be honest, right? It don't have to be in perspective. What if it's like
Hmm. Hmm.
showing she's doing an action, but you really get a chance to show the book in a
Hmm.
different zoomed up, like dramatic way, maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe we have, I don't know, what would be the first words of the book that you were thinking that this person would be reading?
Um, well, for it to be age appropriate, I would say that it would be something from a story, maybe.
Okay.
So, iconically, Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, true. But do you think that that might make it a little too childlike?
Well, it could. So, um, you
But I
could
like
say,
what you're going though with it though, as far as I mean, it's on target. It's just I don't know if that's the
yeah,
actual target audience we want to go for or not. But I'm listening to you.
you can say, when I grow up, I want to change the world.
I want to be like you when I grow up. Okay. We're on to something. We'll keep playing with some ideas of what we're gonna say. I mean, unless you have something in particular you know you wanted to say, if you have a famous
Um,
quote or something you wanted to say.
no, I'm going through my mind now, you know, and trying to think of something outside of what we have talked about already.
True.
Uh, the only other thing I can add would be it could be more philosophical. Um,
Right.
it can be, to read is to live.
I like that. I like that something around that aspect because it kind of gives it a different direction of what you respect as
Mhm.
opposed to being,
And it's
oh, okay.
philosophical because you read that and then you put your own interpretation to it.
I like that too as well. That's what that personally, that's my favorite kind of art is art
Mhm.
that doesn't leave it so like this is what it is and you have to be able to say this is what it exactly is because
Right.
it really is subjective and I feel like when you try to make it so literal, then it's no longer it no longer has the wow factor. It kind of just becomes like just another image.
Well, like you were talking about branding, one of the important elements of branding is visualization. And we
Yes.
have no control of how someone visualizes something. We can only lead them down a path.
Yeah, I agree. Because yeah, you're right. Like that's why like if you try to persuade someone that usually doesn't work out the way you wanted to.
Right.
You know, like you said, you can just give them the information and try to be as what do you call it, consistent. That's what it's really about.
Mm.
Because they're gonna make their own decision at the end of the day.
Right. That's right. Right.
Okay, I see where you're going with that. Just try to make that little indentation so it's like the book is open
Hmm.
so we
Hmm.
can differentiate that what it is. Oh, we only got 2 more minutes, man. Okay. So let's finish off some of this so we can try to get some of these details of the hair in here. Should have painted a little bit faster, but it's okay though. We're having fun, man. Anything in particular you want to add to this, bro? Like, please. This is as much as a collaboration as it is me just painting because I like painting. Like, I want you to be part of this all the way
No,
through the end.
I'm having fun watching you create.
Cool, man. Cool. Just no rhyme to reason
Mhm.
outside of knowing we want to make the best product.
Yeah, I like your perspective. That's pretty cool.
What was the word, the quote again you just said? That was
Oh, to
sorry,
read is to live.
yes. What color would you like to see that in? I feel like that needs to be in a color, something different than black.
I
We
would
got
say
40 seconds.
blue or a green.
Okay. Ooh, blue or green. Okay. Oh, I got stuff everywhere. Let's do my paints. Uh, tight quarters, and I'm running out of time. No. What did I just do with the?
I saw you with them.
Yeah, no. Haven't went nowhere, but all of a
That
sudden now
that
when I
happens
need
to me
it,
from time to time too. I totally understand.
man. Oh no. Okay. Oh man. Well, looks like we're not gonna make the challenge. That's time. Oh
Yeah.
man. You know what though? I think we got started with something. I'm going to at least finish it though. So we're gonna at least put those words in there so we can at least say that this is what we have, and we can always come back to it. That's the thing about art and about branding in general is it's not done. It's just one step. It's every project is just one aspect of the process of creating your brand and building it and establishing it. Because if you just say that, having a logo or just having this one amazing commercial or anything is going to be enough to say, oh yeah, this is it. Trust me, you're sadly mistaken. I mean, it can take you far now. Don't get me wrong. There's people who have built their careers off of amazing projects or off of one project that, took their career to the next level. But just to say that's going to be enough to sustain a career, hey,
Mhm.
all right, well, I still didn't look for that paint, and I know it's nearby, so let me look for that real quick. Uh, okay. I did not go anywhere, really. Huh. I'm stumped, man. Wow. You're not gonna believe what I just found it. See, it was a trick all the time.
Yeah.
Whole time. See if you guys are paying attention. All right, let's get to it. So I think we're going to do our best to meet the challenge by at least trying to give our client today what he asked for. So he said he wants to see the following quote. Once again, what is it again?
To read is to live.
To read is to live here on Designing Labs. And we're going to do that in some blue ink. So, not blue ink, blue paint. Would you like it to be a light or a blue or a darker blue? What kind of color are you looking for when it comes to
I
blue?
think somewhere in the medium. Yeah, not too dark, not too light.
Can you give me a description, like a more of like an aqua color?
Yeah, yeah. Aqua is my favorite color.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Huh.
I couldn't make my
Okay.
mind up as a child between blue and green, so I just came up with aqua.
All right.
It was in the Crayola crayon box, and so it worked.
Okay. Hey, I just recently watched this video, um, man, on YouTube, and it was telling you literally the difference between buying premium color pencils and buying Crayola.
Yeah.
Man, it kind of like lets you know like everything when it comes to money doesn't always mean that it's better quality, but sometimes it really does. And in this case, it was. If you ever get a chance to, I can send it to you. Check it
Yeah,
out.
please do. I like to see that.
Yeah, man, it was pretty like, what? People are paying this much money for some color pencils? Phew, I
Mhm.
gotta get my level. No, no, it's fine. But
It can be expensive for sure.
it definitely can be. It all depends on like like I said, your personal preference.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think it's all about the outcome too, what you're trying to go for. You can get the same outcomes with cheaper, however, it's all about the talent, you know, what you're trying, how you're trying to go about it as well.
Hmm.
All right, so I think you said you want aqua, so let's try to see if we can get this together as aqua. And a couple of different blues together in here, so it's not just straight up blue. And you want it a little bit darker or a little bit lighter? How's that?
Oh, I like that. That's great.
All
Yeah.
right. So the following words to read is to what? To live?
Live. To
Yeah.
read is to live.
To read is to live. Um, what? I'm not gonna even ask. I'm just gonna go with it. Give me a second. Here we go, bro. To and since it's philosophical, I'm just going to keep it as basic shape as possible.
Okay.
To So it's gonna have like a real old school kind of look to it. We is to it. Just trying to finish this out strong to live. There you go.
Yeah.
Very hand painted, very hmm, hmm,
Oh, oh.
to read is to live. What would you want to see as far as the image or other side of the page?
Um, maybe someone in a cap and gown. So she's reading to live and she's going to try to go to college.
I like that. I like that. Well, we got a small little space right there, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, just the cap, the graduation cap with a tassel on it.
I was thinking maybe I could just show. Well, I want to play with the shape of the canvas, so
Oh,
I want to keep that in there in mind. I don't want it to seem like I'm scrambling, just sticking something in there just to be like that. So,
right.
I mean, we can. However, though,
Well, what would you suggest?
well, I'm glad you asked. I got an idea.
Okay.
You trust me just to go with it?
I trust you. I trust
All
you.
right, let's do it then. So, playing off of that shape, I'm going to just do just the corner of the cap and gown so you can kind of get the idea that it's there, and then you just show the end of the tassel. So it's like you know it's there, but you haven't got there yet. You know, just something to know the reference there. But
Mhm.
I think it'll draw your eye once you make you want to know more. Let's see. So now tassel off the top of my head. It's not like I draw those, so paint those often. So we're gonna have some fun with this one. It's like I said,
Well,
this is gonna be very abstract kind of.
well, if I could add with the tassel, if you just have a squiggly line with the year on the end of it,
Huh, just a line and say
or
2000.
24. It just said 24. That's what tassels have on them at the
Yeah,
bottom of the year.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like a gold tassel, or are you thinking of certain colors?
Gold would be great. I like gold.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get some paint on the brush then. Hold on a second. Hey Michael,
Yes.
have you um ever painted before?
Hmm.
Or what kind of painting do you typically like to paint?
Well, I never had the patience to really stick to it, but I used acrylic.
Okay. So that's your choice of medium. And that's
Between
what we're using here today as well, by the
ink
way.
and acrylic, yeah. But one of the reasons why photography appealed to me so much is there wasn't as much work to create.
I completely understand that. You said
That's just
you
my
just take the picture
personality.
and be
I wasn't
done with
patient
it.
enough. I wasn't patient enough.
I completely understand that, man. Like, hold on. Do you do with film or just digital?
Oh no, no, I started with film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That's
switched
that.
to digital in 2007.
Oh yeah?
Mhm.
Okay. So currently, right now, you do digital or film?
All digital, all
Okay,
digital.
okay, okay. So is there a certain what maker model that you prefer?
I've been trained to use any camera I have in my hand, but
Yeah.
I am a proud Nikon owner. So
Okay, okay. That's
I
interesting you say that
always
because
had Nikon. Always had
a lot of
Nikon.
times people are really, I'm sorry, a lot of people are what do you call it? Die-hard fans of, either the Canons or the Sonys, especially right now.
I've used them all, and had to make images with whatever I had in hand, so it worked out good.
I agree, man. I too, well, started off photography with uh with Nikon.
Hmm.
Of course, I've used Canons and I
Yeah.
haven't really used Sony's except for like video equipment though.
My very first camera was a Minolta SRT-1,
What? Okay.
SRT 201, I think it was. It's been a while. Yeah.
uh, I should have chose a different what you call it, a different size paintbrush, but it's okay. We're gonna make it work. 2024. I don't know if you can really see it like that, Joel. Should have did it a little bit. It's okay though. It's okay. Let's see if I can make it a little bit better. I'm not 100% sold on how it came out. Trying to make sure that you guys can legibly understand what's going on. All right. Well, at this time, I want to say thank you to our special guest client, Michael, for coming onto the podcast today.
Thank you.
Um, man, it's been a ball. Like, of course, seeing you again, man, and just chopping it up with you, bro, and like breaking down more about what we do here at Def and branding and just picking your brain as another person who is out here designing and being creative, man. Like it's important to know that, you know, there's other people out here doing things in the world that who are creative as well. And you don't have to be a designer to be here on the podcast. We want to make sure you guys all know that we invite people from all different backgrounds to be on the podcast. Like comedians, artists, musicians, writers, authors, and so much more. Like, we don't want you guys to ever think that you have to be of a certain statue or have to have a certain level of success to be able to come on the podcast. We invite you all to come as you are. Just be prepared to be able to have some fun and be able to engage in with the audience and with me as the guest, as the host. So thank you once again, Michael, man. Is there any questions you have for us before we get up out of here?
No, man, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, man, you're welcome. You can always come back, bro. Always. This is another episode of Designing Labs. I'm Devin. I want you guys to stay engaged, be creative. Until next time, peace. Design, design.